Have you ever wondered exactly how online mastering works? How it stacks up to a human, and if you should be using it? Today, we're going to explore all of this, and we're going to start right now. Online mastering services are more popular than ever, and that's not really surprising. They're fast, easy to use, and cheap compared to a real mastering engineer. There are many online mastering services out there, and they're all quite different. Today, we're going to have a look at how one of the most popular services works, and that's LANDR. Before I attempt to explain exactly what's going on behind the scenes, I should probably demonstrate the online mastering process itself. So let's dive into it and try to master a track using LANDR. First of all, you need to go to LANDR.com and make an account. You can either try it out or purchase a plan here. Once you're logged in, you'll see that they've got a few different products and services. But I won't be going into all of this today. I'm really just focused on the mastering itself, so let's click here. This is your library. To upload a track to be mastered, just click New and select your track. This usually takes a couple of minutes, so I'll just skip ahead a bit. Now that it's done its magic, we can listen to the preview. You can actually switch back and forth between the original and mastered version here. It's worth noting that louder always sounds better to humans, so it can be helpful to enable the volume match feature for more unbiased listening. If you want to know more about loudness, check out my video in the link below. Now, this is something I like about LANDR. If you click here, you can upload a reference track. This is great if you're making music that's similar to another artist in the same genre. Just upload the track here, and it will automatically attempt to master it to sound similar in terms of tonal balance, loudness, and so on. That said, you don't have to do this because the algorithm will actually automatically detect what kind of music you're uploading, what genre it is, and so on, and then base the mastering on that. So this is optional. Nevertheless, still a great feature to have. You can change the style here. You can also change the intensity. Some like their tracks dynamic, and others just want it as loud as possible. Click here to master this. The mastered ones are labeled as you can see here. Now, one of the things I've missed with automated mastering in the past is the option to apply finer revisions to a master. What if you listen to it a few days from now or in the car, and it just doesn't sound quite like you wanted it? Well, then you can use the new revision tool. This is somewhat of a game changer because it gives you so much more control. Was the track too quiet? Too loud? Was it too boomy or too harsh? As you can see, you can make pretty fine adjustments here. This is all very beginner-friendly, and it makes it easy for anyone to get a master exactly the way they want it. I'm very interested in artificial intelligence, so I asked one of their engineers how the algorithm is able to do all this proficiently. It certainly doesn't have ears the way we do. So obviously, it can't really hear what's good or not. What it can do, however, is analyze music in a similar way to how a real mastering engineer would. The engine is constantly trained and refined by human engineers. It's vastly more proficient now than it was in the beginning. In the past, I remember that these kinds of services were always a bit hit or miss. These days, they do a good job most of the time, and with the new refinement tools available, most people should be able to get a decent master with this. Don't trust it blindly, though, especially if you're not sure about your mix. Always use your ears. If it sounds good, it sounds good. So, how exactly does all this work? The very first thing the engine does when you upload a track is to analyze it to figure out what genre it is. The detected genre then provides a context for how you would approach the analysis of the unique features of the track and how those features relate to parameter adjustments. Type and sequence of process and parameters are decided based on the genre and the specific attributes of the song. Different genres have different tonal balance. For example, a trance track will usually have quite a bit of high end compared to other EDM, and that's considered to be normal for that particular genre. The engine takes things like this into account. The processing chain is determined based on the genre itself and what's actually in the track. It takes both of these things into account when applying the processing. Much like self-driving cars, which are constantly being trained by input from real drivers, the engine is constantly being trained by real engineers. So is it safe to use automated online mastering? And how does it compare to a human engineer? I've fed this a lot of different material now, and it seems to do a good job with it. It's certainly not as risky as it was back in the days. So, yeah, I would say it's quite safe to use. The thing is, it takes a long time to become good at mastering. If you're a beginner or you're just not very proficient at mastering, then LANDR can be a good option. Even if you know how to master, it's not always a good idea to master your own stuff for a variety of reasons. An outside perspective is crucial. It can even just serve as a point of reference. Most of the time, when beginners try to master their own stuff, they actually end up making things worse. So, you really need to know what you're doing before you attempt this yourself, at least if you're planning on releasing something. Practice, of course, is always a good idea, though. Check out my Mixing and Mastering Explained video if you want to know more about this. Automated mastering can be a good option for people on a budget. You can then spend that money you save on equipment and plugins instead. In many cases, automated mastering will probably get you like 90% of the way there. If you want those last 10%, then there's no accounting for a real mastering engineer. A real engineer can hear subtle nuances and make the specific changes like subtle automation. But then again, it's expensive, and 90%-ish will usually be good enough for most people. If you're looking for a real engineer, then check out the LANDR network instead. There you'll find many experienced mastering engineers to choose from, including myself. I'll put the links to both LANDR Automated Mastering and LANDR Network in the description below. What do you think about automated mastering? Have you ever used it before, and if so, what's your experience with it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.